Okay, hello guys. We are gonna go over the next project for AP Studio. Um, Here it says week 3 and 4. Pay no attention to that. We call this the skeleton drawing. We're doing it as our second big drawing project this time. So essentially, what I would like you to do is do a study of a master artist's drawing. In this case, I want you to pick from a list of artists, and I picked these artists out in particular because of how they handle the media that they work with. So I'd like you to pick a figure drawing, a drawing of a person, and a drawing, not a painting, by one of the following: Raphael, Michelangelo, Rembrandt, Titian, Daumier, Lucian Freud, or Richard Diebenkorn. Take a look at more than one because several of them are similar, but some of them are very different. So if you don't like one, keep looking, and you can never look at enough art and enough drawing in particular. Once you pick one out, your task is going to be to try to recreate that drawing. I'll do a little video here that I think might help give you a strategy to begin that. But what I'm interested in is you maybe working on some things about how you draw the figure, but also that you're looking very closely at the kinds of marks that the artist that you chose is making. So I don't just want you to draw the figure that you see in their drawing the way that you would draw it. I want you to try to draw that figure the way that they have drawn it. So if they use hatch marks, if they use a light touch in some areas, I want you to use hash marks. I want you to use a light touch in areas. So pay very close attention to the kinds of marks because, as we know, marks are important. Um, and see how you do trying to recreate that drawing as best you can. Here's my masterwork by Raphael, and then here was the copy that I made uh, not too long ago. Wow, I didn't know I could make myself bigger like that, but at this point, we're just going to kind of leave it that way, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, you can see I didn't do these figures in the background. I did enough of the figure to get it going. Then, once I have that, I'm going to take that figure drawing and put it on a window or a box, light box, and trace the basic outline. It's a little bit dark here, but you can see I've got a basic outline of the major parts of the figure without eyeballs or I don't know any other sort of anatomy or detail that's on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this second sheet of paper and we're going to think about what we could see inside of that. So this is Emma from a few years back. She found a drawing of hands and feet by, I believe, Michelangelo. And she just went ahead and drew what the bones might look like inside those hands and feet. But then she added some warm colors and some cool colors and some kind of doodly designs, making a really kind of decorative, interesting, nice, original piece by Emma. This is another girl. This is Bridget, and Bridget filled her person just with patterns. And since there wasn't much of a background, we decided to use some painted paper that she had used before. We copied her drawing so that she had more than one and interwove them to come up with this piece. Keeley decided to do a little baby figure and then filled that figure up with junk food. Oh, Reese did this one and started with the skeleton idea, but came back and instead added some spray paint cans and placed this person in the city. So it was like Graffiti Man. Hannah drew hers on a piece of clear paper. Boy, everything's bouncing around. Um, Called acetate, and then after she took down the original, she noticed that it looked like the figure was sitting on the railing of the deck. So she took a picture of that and then went around the school and took pictures of her person sitting in other interesting places where she could place her clear acetate drawing on windows. This is maybe one of the most beautiful ones. Let's see if I can get myself out of here. Yeah. So this was her reproduction. This is Katie. And she covered this entire thing with eggshells and built her figure out of eggs and had the figure looking at a pill, thinking about like a morning after pill. Now, she started by doing the eggs in watercolor, then realized it was going to take too long. So she printed them out and collaged them to come up with the final piece. And another person who collaged instead of just drew was Kelly. And this was her drawing. And then she traced that and used the flowers to build the figure. And then the background was a little bit empty, so we came back and put those black flowers in there, which I think was a good plan. Rachel was a photographer, so she drew a figure and then cut it out and placed her sister behind that figure and took a picture of it. This wasn't the best of all of the ones that she ended up doing. She ended up doing more that had some really interesting things because part of the face started to look like parts of features of like legs and things like that. So she really tried to push that in a series of photographs that she did after doing this assignment. Another artist who works kind of this way is Vic Munoz. I think you might enjoy taking a look at him. He draws with recycled materials. So you can see here we've got these figures that are very classical from Renaissance painting. And if you look more closely, you'll notice that these figures are drawn within the midst of these recycled garbage dumps, so that they can only be seen from a bird's eye view from far away. So maybe instead of filling, maybe you draw around your figure. And this is the kind of thing that I think he did in reality, but could also be done effectively on a computer program like Photoshop. So we're going to give you 2 weeks on this one. One, to practice your drawing skills. And that one's a copy. And we already said you can't use copies in your portfolio. That's cheating, right? However, the second one, you're doing something called appropriation. And we'll talk about that a little bit in class. And when you appropriate, it means that you are changing the way people look at things. So that might be something that you could use in class. So it's a learning drawing, working on our skills, and then a creative drawing where it might lead to something else that you're thinking about. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I will see you guys in class.